What's going on, guys? Kalipas Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 reasons to buy the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G in 2021. Before we go any further, I do want to remind you to go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps out a lot. That being said, let's get into the video. So the first reason to buy the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G in 2021 is the battery. This phone has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery that supports 15-watt fast charging. So that is a real big battery. There's really only a handful of phones out there with a bigger battery than this. You're gonna get a ton of battery life throughout the day and fast charging in addition to that. So if you have a more mobile lifestyle where you have to use your phone heavily throughout the day but don't have a lot of time to charge it, this is all gonna come in handy, because even if you do run out of battery during the day, which is honestly really unlikely because this battery is so big, the fast charging allows you to charge it a lot more in a shorter period of time. So overall, this phone is really suited for that sort of lifestyle. In addition to that, this phone has lots of longevity with a larger battery, because as batteries degrade, they of course start to lose their capacity, but with a battery of this size, you're not going to notice it nearly as quickly as you would with a smaller battery. So as a result, you're not going to have to replace this phone nearly as soon as some other phones with smaller batteries. So if you like to get one phone and keep that same phone for a long period of time without having to worry about replacing it, having a large battery like this is going to help with that as well. My second reason to buy the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G in 2021 is the camera. Up front here, we got a water drop notch with an 8 megapixel front facing camera. Normally I'm not a huge fan of the water drop notch, but this one's actually not too bad. It's really not very intrusive, and although I still would prefer that this phone had a hole punch instead, I can tolerate this one. Aesthetics aside, this front-facing camera can take really good photos. On the back here, we have a triple camera setup with a 48 megapixel main camera, a 5 megapixel ultra-wide camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera. So this phone has pretty much every camera feature that you would need. It doesn't have a macro camera, but I don't know anybody who really uses it. It feels like more of a gimmick than anything else, and as far as practical features on this camera setup, this phone pretty much has all of it. Now that being said, I know there are going to be some people out there who do use the macro camera, so if that feature is important to you, then you're going to be disappointed with this phone. But otherwise, this phone's camera setup is actually really good. And not only does it have lots of features, but this phone can take some real high quality pictures as well. My third reason to buy the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G in 2021 is the processor. This phone actually has an amazing processor for its price range. We're getting 6 gigabytes of RAM here with the MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G processor, and let me tell you, this processor is strong. You get a ton of processing power. This phone is really fast when you're browsing the web and going on social media. And if you want to do stuff like high performance gaming and video editing with larger files, this phone will be able to handle most of it pretty well. I ran a Geekbench 5 benchmark test on the device, and it came back with a single core score of 561 and a multi-core score of 1726. So that's really impressive, again, for a phone in this price range. I've seen lots of phones above this price range with less processing power, so that is something to keep in mind. That being said, what I would recommend doing is running a Geekbench 5 benchmark test on your current device and comparing it to these numbers to see if it would be an upgrade. My third reason to buy the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G in 2021 is the storage. This phone has 128 gigabytes of internal storage with microSD card expansion, so that is a lot of storage. Whether you're an average user who doesn't do a whole lot with your phone, or you're more of a power user who has lots of apps and photos and videos and all that, you're not gonna have to worry too much about storage, because with 128 gigabytes of internal storage and micro SD card expansion, you can put all of your photos and videos on the micro SD card if you really want to, and that leaves so much space for other things like apps. You would need a lot of different apps that are really big in order to fill up that much space on your phone. So really, only in the rarest cases are you really gonna even have to worry about storage. Even if you're not a power user and you just do regular average activities, maybe you have a few of your favorite apps and take photos and videos every now and then, it's still a good idea to have more storage than you think you need, because apps and the system and pretty much everything are all getting bigger and bigger these days, so having more space is never a bad thing. My fifth and final reason to buy the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G in 2021 is the display. This phone has a 6.6-inch TFT display with a 90Hz refresh rate, a resolution of 1080p, a PPI of 399, an aspect ratio of 20:9, and a screen-to-body ratio of 82.3%. I have the brightness at 100% right now, and I will say it looks real good. I would honestly say this display is almost perfect. The only things that could possibly be better is having a 6.8-inch display and maybe having a Super AMOLED display, maybe the resolution being 1440p and slightly thinner bezels, but those are all things that you'd be more likely to find in flagship phones, not a phone like this. For a mid-range phone, really the only potential complaint I could possibly have for it is that it has a TFT display instead of a Super AMOLED. But that being said, I really still think this display looks really good, and the 90Hz refresh rate is nice when you're doing stuff like content consumption, whether you're watching videos, playing a game. Anything that has motion on the screen is going to be a little bit better on a 90Hz refresh rate. Even the scrolling on the device itself is a little bit faster and smoother with this phone. And in addition to that, the resolution being 1080p means you're gonna get a better experience when you're doing stuff like viewing photos, where it's all gonna look a lot better. So if you're planning on consuming a lot of content on your phone, this phone's gonna be a good option for that purpose. But those were my 5 reasons to buy the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G in 2021. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you found this information useful as well. If you want to learn more about the device itself, be sure to check out my full review of the device on the channel. And if you happen to be watching this video after you bought the phone, definitely check out my tips and tricks video and my beginner's guide as well. But that's it for this video. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.